Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. I'm very privileged to be with you today, this morning, and I really sincerely thank and grateful to the organizers of such a beautiful forum. And when I saw the program and look at the program and the speakers after me, just reminded me for a situation that I was in a few years back. I was invited, not in a keynote, but it was kind of a workshop in one of the Emirates outside Dubai. And unfortunately, it wasn't fresh as this morning, but they gave me a slot of the time which was from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And that was the graveyard slot that you might be in at any time and you might be embarrassed. So it was simultaneous 13 workshops going simultaneously at the same time. So I arrived around 1:30 in the afternoon, and I just looked for where is my location of my presentation, and they pointed out that that is the room. So I entered the room. It was a little bit much more smaller than this room. It was only for 30 participants. And I entered the room, I plugged in my computer and my presentation, I was ready. 10 to 2, nobody showed up. 5 to 2, nobody showed up. 2 to 2, nobody showed up. 2:01, a guy came and the door was at the rear of the room, and then he just popped in with his briefcase. And he sat at the end, and I begged him to come forward because he was the first customer to show up. And then I begged him to come forward. Reluctantly, he did so. And once he sat down in the front row, I started enthusiastically, that I'm going to be in a few moments, and I started to lecture him. 2:45, I ended up my note. The poor guy did not know that he is alone in the room until he gave me a big round of applause. And when he was just giving me that round, and he just was astonished because he was alone. I said, "Any questions?" He said, "No, thank you." So I wrapped up my things. I just intended to go out. On the way out, says Dr. Mansoor. I said, "Yes." He said, "Can you wait for me for an hour, please?" I thought that it is outside Dubai, so he might need a ride. But I was wrong, because I asked him, "Can I know why, sir, I have to wait for you?" Because he said that I'm the next speaker after you. So I should say with this wonderful audience, actually, so you don't have to worry, because the speakers who are coming after me, they have a wonderful audience like you are guys. Let me start this morning my speech for we are in digital media. Why a guy like myself, academician coming from education sector, has to do anything with the media? I think the approach that Hamdan bin Mohammed eUniversity had, it's in first inception when His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid has foreseen the need for revolutionizing the education for the 21st century. It was in 2002. And we had a big challenge. And as you know that His Highness Sheikh Mohammed at all times, he's a gutsy leader. And we were the poor guys to be taking this particular responsibility to push the e-learning forward in the United Arab Emirates and abroad in the Arab world, the geography under which we are serving. And for your own note, in 2002, even the Ministry of Higher Education in United Arab Emirates did not have a clue how they're going to be able to recognize the e-learning and what are the standards for accreditation or licensure of such institution. We worked very hard. We put up ourselves into the challenge, and we needed to be able to revolutionize the concept of education for the first time in the Arab world. Although there were people before us, they did lots of conferences about the e-learning. Jordan, for instance, they have linked with MIT And they have conducted several conferences about the e-learning in late 90s, early 2000. But nothing has been materialized throughout these efforts. But the government of United Arab Emirates, led at that time for the Ministry of Higher Education, led by His Highness Sheikh Hayyan, the ex-minister of the Higher Education and Scientific Research, was a gutsy leader to be able to push forward the standards of accrediting and licensing the online e-learning. So we were the blueprint in the country and in the region at the moment that we offer online learning, licensed and accredited by the Ministry of Higher Education of all of our programs. But here you go. In the first inception of such a concept of education, it was very important for us not to align ourselves with the conventional higher education institutions. Why? Because conventional higher education institutions have been working in the region and in the country for the last decades with no tangible results. So we needed to be different. And different in what sense? In the role of how this higher education institution, the new one who is coming to have the breaking ground to be able to revolutionize the concept of education, to come forward. I know one of those major things that we have done is to categorize the customers of higher education. Why we are in existence? Are we going to complete the number 67 higher education institutions which are accredited actually in the United Arab Emirates? We will become number 68. Or it's a new breed that we have to put forward, and we were going to start a new line of higher education in the 21st century. That was the tougher choice, and we made it because that was the vision of His Highness. We needed to be able to implement. And believe me, as it was a very joyful ride, I must say, it was so tough and a rough ride, because yet you need to have a shift of paradigm in terms of education. And that is why we started to introduce something in 2002, ladies and gentlemen, that it was very, very unconventional. People, and the media people, you guys are from media people come to me and say, "Oh, Dr. Mansoor, how many students you have got?" That was the very conventional, questions from very conventional media that was asking for education, because, well, like I said, it has to have a shift of paradigm. It's a transformational thinking, total transformational thinking, which is the 3 T's. So the first thing that we have offered, the first thing that we offered people, and we have been telling them, we have 4 categories of learners. We changed the vocabulary of higher education institutions. Our literature and our dictionaries and vocabularies and the jargon of vocabularies that we have got in this university, it doesn't include at all the word student. It's the learner. Because the e-learning is bringing something called lifelong learning. This concept, in order to be able to be revived amongst the Arab societies, among the Middle East societies, it has to re-engineer the thinking. That was, we produced this particular pyramid in 2002 that we have 4 categories of learners. That we call it the 4 C's model. Casual learner. Those people who acquire knowledge once in a year, once in every 2 years, attending scientific conferences, attending public seminars, public courses for HBMU, Hamdan bin Mohammed eUniversity, they will be given a number. This number will be with them for the rest of their lives. And to climb the ladder of the journey towards knowledge. And the knowledge-based economy needs a knowledge-based society, a knowledge-based worker. a knowledge-based media. That is why it was very, very astonishing for people to hear that how come you're talking about? When we talk about the casual learners, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about informal learning, unstructured learning, because it depends on the dose that the people would have. We are all maybe executives. Why do we need to come to a university to be able to acquire a degree? We are all having our own pride and our own experiences. But definitely, every single individual needs a piece of knowledge that he can consume. And we have been saying to people that in the knowledge-based economy era, the knowledge would become a commodity which once it is consumed, it becomes obsolete. The second layer of this pyramid was committed learners, the second C. Committed when we say about professional development. In this part of the world, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have a way for professional development other than the Western North America, Europe, or Eastern part, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Malaysia. The professional development in this part of the world is so rare. People have been always at all times being categorized according to their accredited qualifications like bachelor, master's, and PhD. Maybe some PhD graduates at a certain point in time and place. It comes with no value to the society because the professional development has not been achieved. So we offered professional certification in areas of like quality and excellence in management and e-learning. The third category, it is the conventional, what we used to call students, structured learning, which are the accredited qualifications, bachelor, master's, and PhD. At the top of the pyramid are the executive education. You cannot build up a knowledge-based economy with illiteracy leaders, illiterate leaders. With illiteracy comes, of course, different in definition, because in 21st century, the digital gap will become a real illiteracy that has to be combated at the executive level. Now, where do we start it for our new project we have to launch? It was to launch a new initiative. It was an instruction and direction of His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Crown Prince of Dubai and the President of Hamdan bin Mohammed eUniversity. It was his direct instructions and directions that he gave us on the first graduation ceremony, happened in February 2012. Before the ceremony congregation starts, he told us, I need you to take the e-learning to the society. That was a tough task that I have been ever asked to do. But it was a joy because it's aligned with the vision that His Highness Sheikh Mohammed had in 2002. And a lot of people, to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. Lots of my colleagues as academicians, we are all academicians, said, why His Highness Sheikh Mohammed has chosen the name of Hamdan bin Mohammed, a young chap that the university its name goes after him. He's a young chap, for God's sake. Universities around the world, that they hold the name of the founders of the states. George Washington University, King Saud University in Saudi Arabia, Zayed University in UAE. Why he has chosen a young chap that the name of a university goes after him? The answer from my side, from my perspective, without knowing clearly that this learning and this institution of learning is a future institution of learning. And it must be led by a young chap, by a knight like Hamdan, to be able to push it forward. And that was his first test to us, whether we will be up to his expectation or not. The first initiative that we have launched towards his instructions was creating a platform in Kidzania in Dubai Mall for the young generation from age of 6 to 16. People, if you are aware of Kidzania, you have looked at Dubai Mall, please have a visit to our platform there. Since its launch in April 2012 until April 2013, we have more than 45,000 kids for that age group to be able to go to our platform and have the certificate, and then they go and find a job in Kidzania City with more kidzos, that the currency that they offer. 45,000. Along with 4,000 parents will be very interested to join the HBMEU. But the second, rumbling the grounds, was this initiative that I would like to share it with you today, this morning. And how much you guys in the media, you will become passionate about what we are trying to achieve here, guys. This is an initiative, what we call it, the Cloud Campus. And the Cloud Campus initiative that we have launched is one of innovative to provide education for society at large. And this Cloud Campus will have the philosophy of e-learning becomes a reality. What is the philosophy of e-learning, ladies and gentlemen? Isn't it about accessibility? Accessing knowledge. Isn't it about flexibility? Isn't it about affordability as well? One of the key noble things that the Hamdan bin Mohammed eUniversity wants to do in the next 10 years is to provide free education to all Arab citizens, more than a population of 500 million. When I talk about free education, I'm not talking, ladies and gentlemen, on our 20th century of understanding of education, which is structured. I'm talking about education as skills and competencies across the Arab world, providing them for free. That is a noble cause, especially if we know from the United Nations statistics that the illiteracy rate in the Arab world is more than 40%. From the 40%, more than 60% are females and women in the Arab world who are at the moment not contributing to the welfare and the growth of economy in the Arab world. So that is why the Cloud Campus has been launched, to be able to get connected to the rest of the society. How this Cloud Campus came to an existence? It's the first of its kind to provide education, an informal education, through a social media network, which is the Facebook. And your own account of Facebook, you can access the Cloud Campus. You can access the Cloud Campus in order for your kind self, your spouse, and your children at home to be able to access knowledge. And accessing knowledge into a very systematic way, it's very, very important. I cannot claim that this is the only initiative in the world, but what it differentiates from the rest of the initiatives across North America and Europe, they have something called, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me to lose some of those education terminologies, but I'm going to highlight on it. There is something called, around the North America as well as in Europe at the moment, there's something called MOOCs. MOOCs stands for Massive Open Online Courses. But what differentiates the Cloud Campus away from them, that we provide academic support 24/7 for all those people that they're going to be connected through the Facebook into this. Now, social learning environment we provide through this, and rich world-class online content, academic support, that is very, very important, what differentiates us from the rest, and also certification. Because so far, ladies and gentlemen, people are talking about surfing the net. I learn a lot from the net. But what is the connection between what I learn, what experience I would gain from having this particular online, social online media, to be coming into the education and to merge with education, to be able to facilitate help people out in their education certification is very, very important. And that certification, I'm going to highlight it a little bit more about it. Multi-screen access and affordable. The key word is affordable. Yesterday, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid launched what's called the smart government. And I think it has been through the media as well. But I was very irritated for one of the, before the launch, it was kind of a discussion between Etisalat and DO, how they can support this particular initiative. And it was very irritating that the Etisalat person, he's one of our friends and colleagues, he said, well, we will go for profitability. We must do profits. And the guy was asking about how you going to be able to balance the cost, the quality, and the service. That is not the case under which we are talking about. Affordability is a must in terms of the online learning and e-learning. So that is where the Cloud Campus will support. Now, what are the components of Cloud Campus? What are the virtual thing about the Cloud Campus? It has, ladies and gentlemen, 3 components, main components. The first component, as you see, is about business skills. It's about in different areas of management, soft skills. Not only that, but you, for instance, as a media, would you like to be able to share some of the fundamentals of management in terms of media today? You can upload this particular thing to the soft skills that the people can learn around the world. And this is very, very important. And guess what? Even on soft skills, you have the choice whether you would like just to have it as in your spare time to read as you read any book that you will choose, or you can pick on the net, or you can buy it from the bookstores, or you can have a certification in those soft skills. To be certified, and you have the choice at all times to make your choice. The second is the language, the linguistic part. There are people who are eager to learn English, right from the schools to be able to support them, up to adult education when they have the business English. On the other side, you will be having also Arabic language for non-Arabs and for non-Arabic speakers. And I think one of the criteria that this country has, the United Arab Emirates, am I on time? You just remind me, please. Only 5 minutes? Great, great. Thank you very much. I mean, you know, academicians that always go for lecturing for a long time, so you have to excuse us. And please let me know. 5 minutes, that's fine. So the English is one part, and Arabic language, and French as well. And people who are in this country, they would love to be able to learn Arabic and online. And then that's the groundbreaking news for you guys, that all your children across the world will be able to access in 3 areas: science, math, and IT, at 24/7 academic support. And that will actually add lots of value for unstructured learning. It will become a complementary for the schooling system at the moment. And by providing academic support across what we are at the moment, I'm going to share with you very quickly how far we are going with it. And we need your support as a digital forum. We need the support, and we hope that the next digital forum, the HBMU and the Cloud Campus, will become a real partner into the media, because that is where you can create a change, for God's sake. A positive change, I would say, because it's for the education. And that is what we need in this part of the world, the whole Arab world today. Education is a horse, ladies and gentlemen, not a carriage. It's the horse that will bring peace, quality of life to all individuals across the Arab world and the Middle East. And that is what we are trying to do. So, not only that we have academic support for teachers across the Arab world and the Middle East and the world, but also we are trying to have collaborative learning amongst the peers, amongst those students and that they are in the high school K-12, that they are very keen, they are intelligent, they are star students, to find them a job, to be able to collaborative education for them. Now, we have two types of subscription. We have basic subscription and premium subscription, and the academic support. And then the target audience are those target audience that you are seeing. But let me put it this way: this is the direct target market, and I don't know where the overall target market went, because it has something with the technology. Otherwise, we had the whole world, and we have in the pipeline. At the moment, these are the mobile operators that actually it's going. Look at the numbers, ladies and gentlemen, on your right-hand side, the column. We're talking about millions of people to have an access to this cloud campus. And at the moment, we have signed for 5 organizations in 20th of last January, which was Zain for teleoperators for 800,000 in Kuwait at the moment. And we're going to ready to be signed also in north of Iraq, because they operate in 7 Middle Eastern countries, 2 million in Iraq, 1 million in Sudan. And then you're talking about the banks. At the moment, we have Emirates ENBD for 800,000 of their credit card holders, Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank for the 800,000, and we have Aramex as well in logistics for 200,000 of their employees across the GCC. And then we have the Sharjah Islamic Bank as well as 250,000. We initiated in 20th of January, last January, for accessing 2.5 million people to the cloud campus. By the end of this year, 2013, we will be the people who will be accessing knowledge in the Arab world for the first time in history is 13.5 million. And the number is on the growth side if the people in media will be handing, this is me. That's the end of it. Thank you very much for your nice audience. Thanks a lot.